Nico!
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Nico's World video. It's your boy Nico's World, and today we're gonna go in depth with the new toys that we got and how they buffed our boy Lars Alexanderson. So, y'all saw the title of the video. Y'all saw what I said, or read what I said. I do think that some of the buffs that Lars received are some of them are justified, and reason being is because in multiple tier lists, through YouTubers, content creators, even pro players, people consistently put Lars at the bottom five, bottom tier, right? And there were multiple reasons why. Lars had not great lows. His lows were pretty bad. A lot of his pressure was fake. He was too gimmicky. He just didn't have real good, honest, for real pressure. And there's way more I could go on about why this character was so weak. But with these buffs that Lars received, and he got several of them, I do think for the most part, Lars is almost buffed to perfection. Yes, you heard me say it. He is almost buffed to perfection. He is a little overtuned, in my opinion. He is a little bit overtuned. There are some things that I do think need to go that shouldn't stay, but I do think Lars is almost there as being the perfect, solid pick of a character. Like, oh, this character, I'm gonna pick this character, solid pick. So I'm just gonna go over what I think of the buffs. My overall opinion about this character that we love so much, and yeah, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. So one thing the first thing I'm gonna get into is the low pokes. You have down back 1-3, you have 1-4, and you have while crouching 1+2, right? The reason why I agree with those buffs and what they did, essentially, let me go over what they did, right? So before, if you did down back 1-3, it was -1 on normal hit, right? And the reason why that was shit was because it's a low high. So if they ducked and continued to duck, that high kick would go right over the head, and they could launch you just for doing a low poke. And the reason why it was also shit is because it was -1 on normal hit, so it wasn't even your turn after this connected, which is stupid. That's ridiculous. And the thing is that when it was -1 and you went into stance, with -1. So it was like, what is the reason for going into stance with -1? So you risked your life, for a low poke that's 19 damage, and you aren't even plus on hit. So what they essentially did to his low pokes is they made his low pokes more viable now. So now even when you do the low pokes, you're not going in -1, you're going in with +3. That is a monumental buff for Lars that I think maybe +3 might be a little too much, but I do absolutely think this should be plus on hit, just because it's 17 frames. It's a low high. If it is launch punishable, and you have characters like Jack that have like a 12 frame low that is plus like 1 or 2. I think it's like 1 or 2 on hit. Even with this buff, that still doesn't compare to a low like that low poke that Jack has. That's still that's incredibly fast. There's no way you're blocking that on reaction. So making this plus on hit, I agree with this change. It should be plus on hit because it is launch punishable on block. This should be plus on hit. And another reason I like the low poke buffs that he got is because when you go into stance off of these lows, it was like, what is the purpose of going into stance when you're only +1? Like that never made sense to me. I was like, why am I able to go into stance with the plus, but I'm only +1? I can't even use those frames. When I go into limited entry, there's no reason I can't use those frames. That doesn't make any sense. I do agree with the low poke buffs. You can argue that maybe +3 is too much, but I do agree with those buffs, and I think that they should maybe be tweaked a little bit or should stay, but there is no reason why that should be minus on hit. That doesn't make any sense. The next thing that I agree with is making down forward 3/3 natural. I think that is a good buff, and reason being is because this makes his mid game a little bit more scary. It might be a little bit more scary to duck Lars now, because if he catches you ducking and he does this attack on you, that attack wall splats. You know, so you might want to think twice about ducking. So making this natural on hit is a good buff. I do agree with this change. What I don't agree with, though, with this change is that they made this natural. I don't agree with this. That, in my opinion, is too strong. They should not, Lars should not get a heat engager guaranteed off of down forward 3 down into 1/2. That's too strong, because that means that if he catches you ducking once, this is a launcher in heat. That's too strong. I would get rid of that. I would revert that change. I guess if you want to do something like that, maybe make it on counter hit, but that still is an iffy thing. That's you can argue still that might be too strong. But on normal hit, that's insane. That's too much. I would get rid of that. That should not do that on normal hit. That's too strong. Making this natural on normal hit, I'm okay with, though. This is fine. And reason being is because some characters can punish this attack. You know, so I do agree with this change. I think that's fine. Down forward 3/3 being natural is fine. That's a good change. Another change that I kind of agree with, I do like this change, is that they made Lars' down back 4. They made this a little bit more viable now. They made it 20 frames instead of 21 frames. So it's a little bit, it's because Victor's was 20 frames. So they just buffed it to what Victor's down back 4 is. Or I think his is down back 4. But they just made it the same as Victor. They just made it a frame faster, which is fine. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. They just made this more viable, which is fine. Okay, now a big thing for me. This is probably gonna be the biggest thing I'm gonna talk about. They buffed Lars's stances now, and I wholeheartedly 1000% agree with this change. So what they essentially did, if you don't know, they gave you a mid power crush from stance now. Why is that important? Why does that change the game for Lars? Why does that make Lars' stances so much more viable? Well, reason being is because if you did this like an attack on block, right? If you did any attack that went to stance on block, you had a power crush, but the problem is with the power crush is that the power crush was this. It was a high. It was a high, and it wall splatted, but the problem with that is that it just wasn't viable. Reason being is because what experienced players would do, who either knew the matchup or just knew how to deal with Lars in general, is what they would do is they would down forward 1 check you, duck, and launch you. That is bullshit. I always hated that for Lars, because it just made Lars' stances so just not viable. Like his stances just didn't work, essentially. Like there was no reason to respect Lars' stances whatsoever. Every time I fought a Lars player that went into stance on block, it was a down forward 1, and if I saw that power crush, I ducked and I launched him every single time. And I always thought that wasn't fair. I always felt like bro, why do other characters have stances or attacks that go into stance, and they have mid power crushes that would, you know, essentially stop whatever you tried to do, and the power crushes would hurt. They would be like, for example, best example I could think of this is June. June has an attack, I think it's her 4/4/2, that puts her in a stance, and the thing is that she has a mid power crush that does a lot of damage. It does like 40 damage or something like that. It's chunky. It has an animation where she like dashes into you and like she like palms your chest and you start flying across the stage. So this is a game changer for Lars, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. I hope they keep this for him, because this should stay like this, because now this is a much safer option for Lars instead of having to rely on this. This is a much better, safer option, because now the opponent actually has to think a little bit or think twice instead of just doing a down forward one, duck, and launch. That's too easy. That's too easy. There's too many characters that have attacks that lead into stances that, you have to think twice about attacking or retaliating because there is another threat. Like, oh shit, this character has a power crush. I have to think about that. I might get hit by that. With Lars, it was so easy. It was boom, duck, kill. That was it. So I am all for this change. Lars deserves this change. I think he should absolutely keep this power crush. And, and keeping it minus 13 is perfect. That's perfect. That's all perfect. I am 100% all for this buff. And he should keep this, in my opinion. That should stay like that. 100%. That should stay like that. Okay, so going into another thing that I don't agree with, right? So this is what I don't agree with. So we're going to go into his down forward one. His down forward one extensions. I love these down forward one extensions. I think they're awesome. But I think that if you're gonna have down forward one extensions, right? If you're gonna have all of this, if you're gonna have all of that, this down forward one can't be -1 on block. That's too strong, I think. That would make Lars's down forward one one of the best down forward ones in the game. It shouldn't be -1, but you have all these extensions. So that is too strong. I would make it like -3, -2, -3, something like that. But making this -1 when you have all of these extensions and that mid wall splats, I think that's too strong. I would make this -3 or something like that, because that's too strong. Making this -1 only is too strong. Going back to his low pokes, one thing I would keep is this. So I think he should keep this. Reason being is because some characters in this game have a crouch game, right? So let me think of, for example, of Leo. Leo has a crouch game. Jin has a crouch game. Anna, that just dropped, has a crouch game. So Lars having this gives Lars a crouch game. And the reason why I think he should keep this is because this is still not even as bad as other characters with, crouching games like Heihachi, for example, because he has a low that knocks you down on normal hit. This doesn't knock you down. That's still not even as good as this. So what this does essentially now is it's +3 on hit and forces crouch on the opponent. That is very good. That is very good. I think it should stay like this. I think he should keep this. That's a good change. I would not revert that. If he does this, he's only +1 and it's only 24 damage. That's just, like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, that's nothing. That's not enough. That he needs to, if you're gonna do this, he should be able to get a little bit more reward for doing this. I think he should have. So if he does this into this, I think that's fine. I think he should keep that, because it's still not as I still don't think it's as bad as other characters that have lows that do something like, let me put it in perspective, right? And he does something like this into this, and he gets a follow-up off of that. So I still think that's not. I still think that's stronger than what Lars has with the low poke that he got, the buff that he got. So I think he should keep that. That's just an example. There's other examples, but I think that low poke for Lars is fine. I think that's a fine buff. It's a low poke that it's actually a little bit more viable, and there's a little bit more reason to go for it now. And then now, with this, when you go into stance, it's +3 now. So there's actually more of a reason to go into stance off of this low poke, because making this +1 and then, oh, you're able to go into stance. What for? What am I for? What? +1? And this is slow too. This is 23 frames. You can see this. You can low parry this. So there's making this plus a little bit more plus. I agree with. This is a fine change. There's a low poke game, crouching game. I agree with all of that. Now, what I don't agree with, one thing I don't agree with is his limited entry 1. That on normal hit is insane. I think that's too much. I think if you make it do that on counter hit, I think is fine. But making this do this on normal hit is insane. +26 on normal hit is too much. Another buff I agree with is the down forward 1 extension and making that transition into stance. I like this change because reason being is because now he has, so a lot of Lars's attacks, if he, his block punishment attacks lead into stance transitions, but they always led into either limited entry or silent entry. But now with the down forward 1/1 extension, he has a dedicated way to go into dynamic entry through block punishment. I wholeheartedly agree with this change because that gives him new ways to apply pressure through a different stance. He wasn't able to do this before. I am all for this right here. This is a good change. I like this change and I think he should keep that. Now this change is going to be a little bit harder for me to. I'm struggling with this one to deciding if this is too strong or not. You know what? Honestly, this is a difficult one. This is a difficult one. If somebody said, "Nah, that's a little too strong," I wouldn't necessarily say you're wrong, but I think if you have characters that have 13 frame counter hit launchers, that are highs, or Jin standing 4 that guarantees his 1+2 heat engager, I think this is pretty tame. I think this is fine because like I said before, if you have characters that have 13 frame highs that are counter hit launchers, you have Jin standing 4, Steve's back 1, what other character, man? Lee's standing 4. Just characters that have really fast counter hit launchers. I think this is a little bit. I think this is tame. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this is tame, and I like that it's it makes it a launcher in heat. I like that. I think he should keep this. If somebody argued with me it's too strong, I would understand that, but then I would throw the rebuttal back at you. What about these 13 frame highs that these characters have? And don't tell me that, oh well, it's a high. Don't say that to me. Don't say that to me, because that's not a strong enough argument in my opinion. Just because it's a high, no, you're not ducking a 13 frame high on reaction. Shut up. That is a weak argument. I'm not gonna take that. And keeping this minus 11 on block if he cancels it is fine. I think this is fair. Next thing is his back 4. And they made that natural now, so they made it to where you don't need a counter hit anymore. I have mixed feelings about this change because the reason being is because I'm not gonna lie, it was really satisfying to get that counter hit, and the damage was like 55 damage, so it was chunky on counter hit and it was satisfying. So I would revert this back to the old way it was. I would just make it to the same way it was. It's nice that it does this on normal hit. I mean, I understand that they had to nerf the damage for, because if it did that on normal hit and it was 55 damage, that'd be too strong. But I think it should do what it did on counter hit. I think it is stronger than what it was before, but making this, I think the counter hit thing should just be the way it was. It was satisfying to land, and I think it should stay that way. Another change that they did is they made his hell sweep, his 4-4-4-2, they made that plus 11 now instead of plus 9. I think that's fine. I mean, it's plus in your face. 2 frames, I don't think that makes a super big difference, but it's me personally, I don't think it makes a huge difference, but I think it's fine. Not the end of the world off of that. I think it's fine. That's fine. The next change I want to talk about, and it is this attack right here. His wall running 1 that they gave him now. They gave him a wall running move that's plus on block into stance. So I argued about this before, that they followed this formula giving characters attacks that put the wall running move into stance pressure. They like to follow this formula now. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, I don't lie to you guys. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I do like this move. I just don't like the formula. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fan of wall running move into stance attacks. I'm just not a fan of that. I like this move, but I just don't like the trend. Does that make sense? Like, I don't like let's give every character this, because it makes every character play the same. You know, every time you see a character running at you, he's gonna do the plus on block move into stance pressure now, and it just makes people play this. It's the same. It's the same thing. So if we're gonna, I mean, if everybody else is gonna have it, then whatever, man. I guess he should have it. I guess if we're gonna follow this formula, I'm just not a fan of the trend. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. But if everybody else is gonna have one, I guess we might as well have one too. That's my rationale towards it, you know. But if other characters get theirs taken away, then take ours away. But that's how I feel. Like how I feel about this move is like, you know, you first, and then you'll take mine. But you first. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I think about it. But I do like this move. I think it's cool as fuck. I like the electricity. It's cool. I like it. Now another change that I like is that they made this plus. I like this change because it's funny because now Lars' stances kind of have the same kind of like rationale with, or logic with, kind of like June. Like when I see Lars' stances in a way, I kind of think of June sort of with her, what is it, her I don't know June's stance, like Genjutsu, I don't remember which stance it is, but it's because June has this attack that's a high, it's homing high, and it's plus on block, it's plus like 3. Lars has the same thing now. So I agree with this change. I like the stance changes. I like what they did with this. The stance changes, they made this more viable, and they made it more, it makes sense to me. Like I like this change. Okay, and then moving on to another change that they did to him is the new wall ender. That is sick as fuck. I love that. I'm gonna be real with you guys. This is just cool. This I like, come on. Like what? Are you kidding me? That's badass. Like I honestly, bro, I would keep that. I think that's cool. It's just another unique way to go to just, you know, do a wall ender combo. It does a little bit more damage than the standard, you know. Than the standard, you know, boom, boom, boom. Does a little bit more damage, but that's just another way that Lars can just do another wall ender, and it makes this low actually make you want to do it at the wall, because there's not, this low is not, it doesn't really do anything. Like so using this, giving this a purpose now at the wall, I like it. I like that change. I would keep that, and of course it's just cool. Like I remember I was fighting somebody and I did this, and I literally was like, yeah, you know, it's badass. Like, keep that. I would keep that. That's cool. Another change that I agree with, that I really like, is they made this minus 13 now instead of minus 14. I like this change. I always thought minus 14 was a little too much. I like minus 13. Minus 13 seems like a better placement for this. Because I mean, characters have launchers and stances that are minus 13, so making this minus 13 is fair. I think this is fine. Another thing that I agree with, I love this change. I would absolutely 100% keep this change. They made his stance low crush now. Or not, I'm sorry, I said low crush. High crush. I always hated that for Lars, that this never crushed highs. Reason being is because look how fucking low he gets to the ground. So they made this to where he goes into crouch more, so now jabs will go over him now. And I always agreed with this change. It doesn't do it for if you do like mids, but if you do lows, this low is an actual high crush now. Like this, jabs will go over his head, as they should. It should have been like that, because Lars ducks down. He's literally, look at him. Look at the animation. Look at that. He's literally like, why was this not crushing highs in the first place? Look how fucking low he is to the ground. So that should have been doing that. There was no reason to not do that. It should have been doing that. Next thing I'm gonna go into is his heat. So, if you don't know, they gave him 2 new things in heat. One is his dynamic entry 3+4, and his sidestep 2. So now this knocks down in heat. That I agree with. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And his sidestep 2 now is +6 on block. If I was to nerf this though, I would probably make it maybe a little less plus, maybe make it like +4 or something like that. But I think making the stomp knockdown on normal hit in heat is fair. I do agree with this change. I do agree with this change personally. You're inclined to disagree. Let me know in the comments, but I personally agree with these changes in heat. I agree with this. It makes his heat a little, it makes his heat stronger. Not saying that his heat isn't strong already, but I like this change because it does suck up a lot of heat energy, which is fair in my opinion. It's not like he can just, you know, just keep doing this over and over again. It takes up a lot of energy. You know, so I agree with this change. I think it's fair. I think it's fair. People are gonna be like, you know, you're tripping. I don't care. It's my opinion, and you can have yours, I can have mine. But I think it's fair. Another change I agree with is his back 1. So if you don't know, his back 1 now is a counter hit knockdown. It didn't. So if you played Lars in Tekken 7, he had this in Tekken 7, and they removed it in Tekken 7. Or from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, and I never understood this change. This change made no sense to me. They said they were nerfing counter hit attacks from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, but the thing about Tekken 7 Lars is that Lars wasn't a counter hit character. He doesn't have a counter hit game like that. He had very little amount of counter hits. That's not what this character is. He's not really a counter hit character. He's not Brian, you know. So the fact that they removed this, I never understood that. I was like, bro, he doesn't have counter hits. Why did they take away his only counter hit? Like, I didn't understand that. So the fact that they brought this back, I agree. He should keep this. There is no reason why he shouldn't keep this. I don't see why they got rid of it. Just keep it a counter hit knockdown. It's a strong move. It was whatever in season 1 Tekken 8, but the fact that they brought this back, solid. Let him have this. He should keep that. Another buff I agree with. I mean, it's not. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. It's not like crazy, stupid. It's not like the end of the world. I mean, this is. They just buffed the damage on his limit entry too. They made it more chunky. They made it from, I think it was like 20 damage to like 25 damage. That's a good buff. That's a good buff. It punishes you a little bit more for ducking. That's a good buff. I agree with that. It's fine. Yeah, and there you have it, guys. I think I hit on all the things I wanted to hit on for the most part for his buffs, or at least the main points, at least, right? So yeah, so I do think Lars is almost buffed to perfection. I think he is a strong character, and I think he should keep some of these buffs. Some of these gotta go, like I discussed earlier, right? Like some of them is a little overtuned, I think, but for the most part, I do think Lars is almost buffed to perfection. I think he's too strong with some of these buffs, but if they just revert some of them, not all of them, I think he should absolutely keep some of them. Some of them, he will be perfect. I think he is almost there, and I think he is almost fully fleshed out because, you know, I played a little bit of Lars, you know, season 2 Lars. Did a couple matches. I'm working on another video in the background, but I think playing these matches with Lars how he is now, it made me realize, damn man, Lars was really weak in season 1. Like he really, I can feel the difference with this character. And as time went on, and as I was playing a couple matches, you know, I was thinking, man, like, you know what? He should keep some of this. Like, some of this is fine. Cause even with the buffs some of the buffs that he's got, he's not doing what King does. You know, he's not. Paul has some bug. I saw it on Twitter. Some stupid ass bug that he can you can't do anything. He just shuts you down. And Jack, I saw what Jack has. It's insane. He can't. Even with the buff that Lars got, he still is not doing what them motherfuckers can do. So and I'm not saying that you know, some of the things that Lars has isn't overtuned, but I do think that he is almost there as being a solid character, I don't want Lars to be some stupid broken character. That is not something I want for my character. I want my character to be solid. I want him to be a solid pick, not such a dog shit pick. You know what I mean? He was so bad. And there's so many ways. There were so many ways to, you know, beat Lars. You don't have to respect his stances. You didn't have to respect it. His lows were not scary. All of his shit was launch punishable, and they still are. But it makes his attacks are more rewarding on hit now, and I think that's what he needed. You know, and you know, for people that might say, "Oh, you know, you're downplaying Lars. Lars was good in season 1, or whatever the fuck are you saying, bro? Play the character. Did you play the character? Play the character. That is my rebuttal to you. Play the character. If Lars did an attack on block and you blocked this and he went into stance and you let him do that, that's your fault. That was your fault. You let him do that. You know, if Lars did a low poke like this and he did limited entry into stance, you let him do that attack because he doesn't have the frames to do that. You let him do that. I'm going off of a bias of hate. Just because you hate the character doesn't mean the character is strong. Or, you know, you just probably have a hard time dealing with the character. You know, fucking, for example, fucking like Lee or something, or Raven or something like that. I don't think those two characters are particularly strong or, you know, super strong in the game, but they're annoying. They have annoying shit. But I can make the distinction between a character that I hate going against, or if this character is strong on paper. Like, just because you hate a character doesn't mean the character is strong. And I think people have problems distinguishing those two. You know, like another example, Lydia. I don't know the Lydia matchup at all, but I find her super fucking annoying. But like, I can be aware that, you know, I can tell myself like, okay, she's annoying as fuck to go against, but she's not particularly strong. And I'm aware of that, you know. I was aware of that in season 1. Like, I can make the distinction between the two. Okay, so I don't care what anybody says about, oh, you downplaying your character. Here we go, another downplayer. No, bitch. He was actually weak, and there was ways to prove it. And if you looked at other people's tier lists, everyone said that he was always at the bottom. So I'm not trying to hear that. Some of these buffs are justified, and some of these he should keep 100%. Some of them gotta go. But I do think Lars deserves these buffs, and I think that he is almost buffed to perfection. I think he is almost there. With this next patch coming up, they need to get rid of some things, but when they do that, he's good to go. He's good to go. And you know, if they reverse some of the changes that I said, I feel like he'll be solid. And you know, if you're a Lars main, and I gotta check my community too, right? If you're a Lars main, and you know, if they make the changes and things like that, and like I said, you're a Lars main, you can't complain anymore. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You can't complain. They make those changes. This character is fair, in my opinion, and there is nothing you can say. Oh, buff Lars. You can't say that anymore. You can't say that anymore because if they do these changes and he keeps most of these buffs that I said, he's solid. He's good to go, and you can't say shit. You can't. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. I always try to be honest about him. Lars was too gimmicky, his pressure was too fake, and his lows were just non-threatening, or not threatening enough, the low pokes and everything like that. But now that they made him, they gave him better poking, down forward 1 extensions, low pokes that actually mean something, I think he's good to go. And I think they should keep some of these changes. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next Nico's World video. Be safe out there, guys. Take care.